In 2007, Goldman Sachs built a financial product they specifically designed to fail, and when it collapsed, investors lost over $1 billion, yet the executive who signed off on the deal walked away with his bonus intact and his firm paid a fine it privately calculated as cheaper than the profit it had already pocketed. They knew, and they buried it. So why has no one ever told you the full story? Goldman Sachs. The name alone carries weight. The most profitable investment bank on Wall Street. The firm that produced treasury secretaries, central bank governors, and heads of state. They positioned themselves as the gold standard of financial counsel, client first, integrity first, the smartest people in the room working entirely on your behalf. When you handed Goldman your money, the pitch never changed. We are aligned with your interests. That was the brand. That was the reputation they spent a century building and hundreds of millions of dollars protecting. Every annual report, every Senate testimony, every press release said exactly the same thing. In early 2007, a hedge fund manager named John Paulson walked into Goldman Sachs with a very specific request. He had spent 2 years studying the American housing market and was convinced it was a time bomb. He didn't just want to bet against it, he wanted to help build the product that would blow. Paulson asked Goldman to construct a package of mortgage-backed securities, a CDO, a collateralized debt obligation, and he wanted to personally select the mortgages that went inside it. The worst ones, the ones he was most certain would default. Goldman agreed. They called it Abacus 2007 AC1. Paulson paid Goldman approximately $15 million to structure it. That involvement Goldman never disclosed to the investors they sold it to. Instead, they told those investors the portfolio had been assembled by an independent third-party firm called ACA Management. That was not the complete truth. ACA Management was real. They did review the portfolio. But what ACA didn't know, what Goldman never told them, was that Paulson had been directly involved in selecting the specific securities he was simultaneously betting against. Goldman then sold Abacus to institutional investors. IKB Deutsche Industriebank, ABN AMRO, sophisticated European banks with billions under management. They bought in because they trusted Goldman's name. Meanwhile, the moment the paperwork was signed, Paulson's fund went short on the entire thing. He wasn't a believer in the product. He was a passenger on a plane he had secretly sabotaged, who parachuted out before anyone else boarded. But that's not even the part they really didn't want out. When the housing market began fracturing in mid-2007, Abacus collapsed almost exactly as Paulson had engineered. IKB Deutsche Industriebank lost approximately $150 million. ABN AMRO lost roughly $840 million. Total investor losses on the Abacus CDO alone topped $1 billion. Paulson's fund made an estimated billion-dollar profit on that single trade. Goldman collected its $15 million structuring fee. Now here is the part that should stop you cold. Goldman wasn't just a passive arranger. Internal emails recovered later showed Goldman's own traders describing similar mortgage products, and this is a direct quote, as one shitty deal. Another email from a Goldman executive described the broader mortgage market as one big short. Their own proprietary trading desk was quietly positioning against the same products their salespeople were aggressively pitching to clients. They were sitting on both sides of the same table at the same time. Clients came to Goldman believing the firm was fighting for them. Goldman had already decided those clients were on the wrong side of the trade and placed its bets accordingly. The firm booked $4 billion in profit in 2007, a record year, while the institutional investors who trusted them watched portfolios disintegrate. $1 billion gone, no criminal charges filed against the institution, no referral for prosecution, no executive in handcuffs. In April 2010, the SEC filed civil fraud charges against Goldman Sachs and one employee, a junior vice president named Fabrice Tura. Just one. Not the partners who approved the structure, not the senior executives who collected the year-end bonuses, not the leadership that appeared before the Senate Banking Committee days later and told lawmakers with absolute composure that Goldman had always acted in the best interests of its clients. Goldman settled for $550 million. For a firm that had just posted record profits, that figure represented roughly 5 weeks of revenue. They paid it. They admitted no wrongdoing. Tura was eventually found personally liable in a civil proceeding. He paid $825,000. He now teaches economics at a European university. Lloyd Blankfein, Goldman's CEO, told a journalist that Goldman was doing God's work. He kept his job. He retired a decade later with a personal net worth estimated north of $1 billion. The Abacus deal did not end Goldman Sachs. It didn't end the practice of building products designed to fail and selling them to clients who had no idea. The $550 million settlement was written off as a business expense. The executives kept their homes. The clients absorbed the losses and moved on. And the structure that made all of it possible, the one where the same firm can simultaneously advise you and bet against you, that structure was never dismantled. It exists today. Every time you see the Goldman name attached to a new fund, a new offering, a new deal, ask yourself one question. Which side of the table are they actually sitting on?